What I've got is a YoDAVE Mainspring Industries. Trying that one out. Just like the Eric Brooks kit, there's 4 springs going from light, working its way up to the heaviest tension. And again, there's 4 shims that you can remove the creep with, various thicknesses. One interesting thing to note with the YoDAVE kit though is there's a roll pin, and this is to replace one of the original pins in the trigger kit. It's that one there, obviously, where you remove that pin there to take up the creep, stick one of these tubes in, work out which one it is, but this roll pin is a replacement for that pin there. Also note that the pins are different sizes. The front pin is a bit smaller than the rear pin, and this one definitely will do no good at all if you try to fit it in there. But I think that's a nice finishing touch to have an extra spare pin. You may or you may not need it. I found these pins are quite soft, quite often peened over, so you need to grind the ends before you can push them out. I might have been lucky, but with this one this morning I'll give it a tap just to get it started, and it seemed to move fairly freely without any mushrooming over the end. That one is mushroomed over the end, so I would need to grind it down a little bit, but I don't need that for today. I'm just taking this pin out here. This is the spring I'm putting in this morning. Can't really compare it on the camera with the standard spring, but one thing I did note, that in amongst all my bits and pieces I found somebody got a cut down spring, a standard spring, and this is what a few people do. They cut about the equivalent of 2 coils off the standard spring just to shorten it, and that reduces the tension. Obviously you can adjust a little bit on that nut there, but I don't know, I think that's a bit risky. Once you've cut the spring, you can't take anything back. You'll have seen in the video, just lurking on the edges, is this bit of lump of clay here. I've got 2. This one is to knock the pin back in. This one is to knock the pins out. All it does, groove for the action and a pattern for the trigger. This just supports everything, and these holes obviously allow the pins to knock through. If you haven't got anything like this, then all you need is a bit of rag, put it underneath the trigger area and support the gun so it doesn't flop and wave about as you're trying to knock the pin. Putting this in, quite simple, just gives that little bit of support there. That's it, all done. Right, ready to knock the pin out now. With the pin removed, it's just simply a case of lifting up the trigger, slipping the spring off, getting the new spring, slipping it back on. Try not to lose this little washer. It's got an odd little feature. On the pin it slides up and down on, there's a flap to it, and there's a flap built into the washer, so if it does drop off and you're struggling to get it back on, just have a quick look to see the shape of the actual pin, the shape of the washer. Have a look and you'll realise, just turn it around a little bit and this washer would go on. No need to try and force it. Well, now to slip on this spring, stick it back together, oops, and gravity always works. Turn the gun over, get everything all lined up, and hopefully get that pin knocked in. Now I've got the pin in, all I've got to do, clean the gun up, get all these marks off, bit of powder from the clay supports, and just give it a try. Give it a safety test, obviously, first of all. Give it a try, see if that's the spring that I'm actually wanting. Well, now the pin's back in place, everything's all nice and secure. Give it a wipe down, give it a clean up, assemble, give it a safety test, take it out in the field and try a few rounds. Just by pulling on the trigger now though, I can feel that there is less resistance, it's not as heavy. Everything seems to be working smoothly. I've got a funny feeling though, even after a few rounds, I still think this probably could be just a touch a bit too heavy for what I personally want. So safety test, try it in the field, and if it's not quite right, try it again with the next spring down.